Supposed to be learning. Should have the basic English. Sorry. From Panacea. Yeah, Panacea. And unfortunately, my faith illness and sorry. We're going to start today Yudches. Yudches Amarala 18A. On the bottom of the page. Itmar, there was a statement. It goes like this. The case in our Mishnah was that we had a chutzner. Surrounding the chutzner were houses. But the chutzner was surrounded by an achsadra, by an awning. It's called the portico. There were posts that were going down along the, sort of holding up the awning at the end of it. So now what you did was you put schach across the whole courtyard. So you have a wall. You really have two possible walls here. One is the walls of the houses, and the awning would be less than 4 amas. The other possibility is that you have these posts that are holding up the awning. That could be the walls of the sukkah, which is like the direct walls of the sukkah. Okay. Now, if these posts they're within 3 tvachim of each other, then that's a good wall. But let's say you don't have any posts there. Is there a picture there? Let's say you don't have any posts. If you don't have the posts, so then it becomes a machlokes Abaya and Rava. If I can say that the lip of the ceiling itself should be considered like a wall. Oh, beautiful. See, this would be the case without the posts. So what I'm left with is just schach and no wall. In the case with the posts, would be that case over there. Okay. You see that? There's the post. Yeah. Okay. So Abaya says Ksheira, Rava says Psula. Well, how could Abaya say Ksheira? Abaya Ksheira, meaning Pitik Yerd B'Seisim. I look at the roof. If the roof is a tefa, then I say that the lip of the roof continues downward, like good achis, like a wall that could continue downward, like a good asik, a wall that could continue upward. So I say pi tikra, the lip of the roof, which is a tefach itself, could continue downward and make this fictitious halachic wall. That seals off it's like the wall of a sukkah. Rava Amar Psula Le'amrin Pitikri Yerd B'Seisim. Rava says that you don't say that. You don't say Pitikri Yerd B'Seisim. Because we make walls. So, I mean, people have just the bottom part of the wall. See, that would be good asik. Once I have 10 tvachim, that's good. Here it's like mamish no walls. Here it's just the ceiling. Okay. Amar Rabba Msulaim Pitikir Adversation. Amalei Rabba La Abaya. Rabba says to Abaya, Ladidach Damar Pitikir Adversation. According to you, that you have such a lenient opinion, that you say that the roof itself here the roof, the achsadra, could be the wall. What would happen? The example that we gave was that you have a courtyard surrounded by houses, and Abaya says that it's going to be kosher because the lip of the achsadra, the lip of the roof, is going to continue downward. It's going to seal it off. Let's say there was no back. Let's say there was just 2 rows, and you could walk straight through the back. It wasn't really a courtyard. It was like a walkway. What would happen then? Rabbi asks Abaya, would you agree that you say Pita Kriyar V'Seisam? Now, the premise here is that whenever we have a halachic imaginary wall, it has to be that it's not clearly being ignored. If this would turn into a walkway and you're claiming that it's a halachic wall, so then what kind of wall is that? Over here, no one's walking through. You can't walk through because there's houses back there. You can't get through anyway. So yeah, it could be someone's walking through, but it's not made like a walkway. So Rava asks Abaya, would you agree if the middle wall was down? What would you say then? Would you say that you still say Pita Kriyar V'Seisam, the back wall? Abaya says, you know what, you're right. In that case, I would agree with you. I don't say Pita Kriyar V'Seisam in such a case. I'm a little surprised because I thought he was just saying that it's the lip. Now he's saying that it's the lip, but it's together with being surrounded by walls behind it. Yeah, he calls it a kapandarya. Kapandarya, Rashi says. Kapandarya was like a shortcut. It says you should make a shul into a kapandarya. You want to walk out through one door and out the other door. So the Gemara says, it's possible, or let us say, that Abaya and Rava are actually arguing about the same machlekes that Rav and Shmuel argued. Now, Rav and Shmuel are discussing a law in Hilchos Shabbos. Abaya and Rava are discussing a sukkah. What was stated there? It says, the itmar, achsadra bebika. Let's say you have this in the parks. You have picnic tables. So above the picnic tables, it's like some sort of ceiling. But there's no walls. So if you have an open area, a bika, but you have an achsadra there, are you allowed to carry under that awning? Okay, gazebo, so an open. Rav Amar mutal etaltel b'kulai damin Pita Kriyar V'Seisam. Shmuel Amar metaltel b'al ramas. Rav says you're allowed to carry. Shmuel says you're not. The mamish fits. Rav would go like Abaya, and Shmuel would go like Rava. Rava says I don't say Pita Kriyar V'Seisam. Gemara says it's not necessarily so, because Aliba de Shmuel Kuli Al Malik. According to Shmuel, no one's going to argue if Shmuel will agree with him. That means that Shmuel that says Ein metaltalim ba'el b'daled amas is clearly like Rava, that you don't see pitika. According to Abaya, you should, and according to Abaya, you don't say it by as far as like this. It's going to come in. I have an achsadra and I have a sukkah. The sukkah is outside the achsadra. I'm really trying, if I would say Pitik or Yerd, then the lip would come down and section off the sukkah, section off the Achsadra. So in the Achsadra Bedika, on Hilchot Shabbos, when I have that when I have those park benches with the awning over it, the roof is coming down and sectioning off what's underneath the awning, not what's outside the awning. By sukkah, I'm taking the pitikra of the achsadra and I'm sectioning off what's outside the achsadra to create walls for a sukkah. So if I don't do it for what's inside, for sure I don't do it for what's outside. That's a bias saying that Shmuel's never going to agree with my svara by sukkah because he doesn't even say it to section off the achsadra. Keep ligeli with the Rav, but according to Rav, there's a machlekes. Abaya Kirav. Abaya would say like Rav. Well, Rav says easy. He says that that the lip continues downward and it seals off the area. So if it seals it off, it will also do it for the same for the sukkah. And Rav Amalach, Rav says no. That lip, maybe by the achsadra, it will seal it off by the achsadra bebika, because it's sealing off what's underneath the achsadra. But by the sukkah, aval hacha, the lav lachi avidi lai. Rav is going to say that even Rav that allows you to carry under that area, but that's because that has a roof. And the walls, the lip of the roof continues down and seals off what's under the roof. But here by sukkah, you're trying to get the lip of the roof to seal off what's outside the sukkah. That Rav never said. Okay. Tanan. We quote the Mishnah. Right, Abaya says that if you can carry under it, it's considered a wall for outside it also. Yeah, a lot of people they walk outside their house and above the door is a roof. So when it rains, you don't get wet right when you step outside the door. On Shabbos, what is it called? Gable. On Shabbos, when you walk outside, if there's no air, if you're allowed to carry under that, well, it's under the roof. But what's a roof? A roof isn't an air. So if you say pitik riyad b'saisim, then yes, it is an air. If you don't say it, so I think la halacha they say that it needs to be surrounded by 3 walls. You can say pitik riyad b'saisim on the 4th wall. Yeah. I have the shaila in front of my house. I have that overhang. And on the side, it protrudes almost all the way, but not fully to the edge of the overhang. So there's a bit of a wall there, So I have definitely the back wall, where the window is. The back wall on 2 sides, half of 2 sides, and then the overhang. Question is if that's considered 3. Yeah, question is if that's good enough. I need 3 full walls. Yeah, okay. We have a very strong question. Probably the most difficult question from all contradictions, possibilities here. Take a look at this. It says Tanan, it says in the Mishnah, one of the cases of the Mishnah that we said was not a kosher sukkah. We had 4 cases. 3 of them were about if it's too far away from the wall, because there's a daif and akuma more than 4 amos. So the first one was bias shenifchas, a house that caved in. If the walls were further away from the skylight, the new skylight. So that was a problem. Then we had the achsadra case. There's a big awning area all around the courtyard, but that's more than 4 amos away from the wall. It says clearly in the Mishnah that it's pasul. Why is it pasul? According to Abaya, that case isn't pasul. That's a case of pitik yad v'seisim. You put schach on top of the achsadra, you'll basically always have pitik yad v'seisim on every sukkah. Now in this case, you have pitik yad v'seisim around from the achsadra. Yeah. Ba'amai, name a pitik yad v'seisim. Why is it pasul? Just let the achsadra come down fictitiously and seal off the sukkah, and it's kosher. So Tirgma Rava libeda Abaya. Rava comes in and answers this up for Abaya. Now, this is really Rava's question. And Rava says, you know what, I know it's a very strong question on Abaya, but I can answer it. It's not like it says Kashish Veskira. What happened is, instead of the schach on the achsadra being raised above the achsadra, it was lowered down to be flush with the achsadra. So you don't have a lip. It's no pitik yad v'seisim. Yeah, what was holding it up? Yeah, what they did here is they contrasted these two pictures. This one and this one. One of them has a lip and one doesn't. These two. Well, it's the corner one up on the top. See that here? This picture here, the stuff is lower down, flush with the portico, with the awning. But this picture, it's raised above. This picture would be kosher, according to Abaya. Okay, the Surah Masalahas Shmaita B'Hai Lishna. Yeah, the Gemara did this just yesterday. It said that in Surah, it was taught the way we taught it. However, the Pumpadisa was taught a little different. If you put schach on top of an achsadra, around this area, this awning, all the way around. No, not the back wall. Yeah, the schach itself is flush. You don't see the lip of the roof. Because it was so full. Yeah, if it goes down, you don't see the lip of the roof, so you don't see pitik yad v'seisim. Yeah, what's holding the schach is, I guess, it's still being held by the top, but it's hanging into it. Okay. All right. So in everything is machlaikas. Just imagine this both. So the Pumpadisa thought Sichach al Gabatzad Hashem Laptima Divra Kol Psula. Everyone says it's possible. There is no opinion of Abaya, like we just learned before, that says that it's going to be good enough because the lip is going to go down. Yesh Laptimin. What if it has the Petimin? Petimin were these posts that came down, slats that came down that made a wall all the way around it. Well, what could be wrong with that? Bayam Raksher, Ravar Mapsula. Rava says that it's possible. Bayam Raksher, Amrin and Lavad. Baya says it's kosher because of Lavad. It's considered a wall. And Rava Mapsula, Layamrin and Lavad. Rava says we don't say Lavad. Never heard of such a thing. We don't say Lavad. We just had 20 blot almost. Every page we said Lavad. Now comes along Rava says that you don't say Lavad. Well, yesterday we had an opinion. You don't say Lavad in the middle of the roof. It's okay. The whole time we're talking about walls, whatever. But now we're talking about walls. And Rava says you don't say lavud. So Rashi explains that you don't say lavud, according to Rava, to make a wall for what the posts weren't made for. You see, the posts were made for the achsadra, the close in the achsadra, not to close in the sukkah. The sukkah is outside there. So I say lavud only for what it was put there for. So it's considered solid if I want to walk in the achsadra. But if I want to eat in the sukkah, it's not considered like a wall. Okay. Hilchasa Kalishna Kama. The halacha is like the Lishna Kama. Everyone agrees to love it. And the whole question is if I say Pitik or Yerd B'Seisim. Rav Ashi Ashkechel Rav Kana to Kamasachech al Gabi Achsadra Shein Laptzima. We had Rav Ashi found Rav Kana before doing something. He made his third wall with a his third wall was together with a Tzuras of Pesach. I remember back on, I remember, Ches, not Ches. It was, where was the case here? Yeah, Daf Zion. So Rav Ashi tells him, you don't hold of Rava? He says, no, I hold of the other version of Rava. We had three versions of Rava there. So he had the same thing. Rav Ashi finds Rav Kana. He lives on the edge. He lives on the edge. Rav Kana is the later Rav Kana, of course. That is Mesachach al Gabe Achsad Shein Laptzimin. Amar Lei Several Amad Hadam Rava Yesh Laptzimin Shein Ein Laptzimin Psula. That if it has no post, it's possible. You don't hold of Rava, exactly the same comment that he said to him before. Rava doesn't agree to such a sukkah. You don't have any posts. He showed him that the truth is there were posts here. Only thing is you could only see it from one side. You sort of need a picture for this. Let's see. There's two pictures here. We have a Nira Mibifnim. This picture is very like slight point over there where there's a little lip that goes in, and then there was another picture of Nira Mibachutz, which is this picture right here. It's a lip that's just on the outside, and when you're inside the sukkah, you can't see it. This is Nira Mibachutz. When you're inside the sukkah, you don't see that lip. This would be probably the case. This is the more obvious case. When Rav sees Rav Kana sitting over there, he says, you don't have any tzitzim. Where's your third wall? You want to say that the house is the third wall, it's too far away. He says, no, I have a lip back there. Going outside the sukkah, I had a lip. And then here, he has a lip inside the sukkah. Okay. The near mebachutz, sham lefnim nidim misham lechi. The lechi haina ptzimin, and that would be the same thing. Yeah, she didn't have that tefa. Which means by a lechi, you can also use, when you have a mavi, you can also use a lechi that's seen from one side. That's what's coming out. The finish, no? It could be on both sides. Even if it's only visible from one side. It was also kosher, right? Right. Taisus on the top. If you look at Taisus on the top, he's saying maybe it's going to work for Shabbos. Should it work for during the week? And was Rav Ashi making us like, remember we had a sukkah that only works for Hilchah Shabbos, but during the week it wasn't good. It was only good on Shabbos. That's what it's going to look like. Why do you bring it up now? Oh, it's just started. Well, that's after that. What was the wall on the outside that you couldn't see from the inside? Yeah, but when would there be a wall on the outside that you couldn't see? That you couldn't see from the outside, but not from the inside. So what happens is, let's say I have an alley. Now, when I walk down this way, it turns out that the wall is thicker right here than it is back here. Now, from the outside, everyone thinks that the wall is just straight. There's no lefty here. It turns out because of the thickness of the wall, it got wider there at the edge. So it's only visible to one side. That would be visible from the inside, not to the outside. Visible to the outside, not to the inside, would be that as I'm walking here, it looks straight. But this way, so that would be visible from the outside. Visible from the outside. So I'm saying, when would there be a wall from the outside that you couldn't see? When would there be a wall that's not visible from the outside? Oh, so this wall, which it's thicker over here. Yeah, but he's saying like we can see from the outside, so that makes it. When would there not be an like the wall? It has to be visible from one side. Yeah, exactly. Have to see it. All right, good. Okay. It has to be not visible from this side and not that side. Yeah. Like it's you can see it from the outside, so that makes when would there, like you're talking about wall now. Right. When would it not be? You would have to see it from somewhere. Right. Okay. We have a statement now that's going to be interpreted in 4 different ways. We mentioned this before. It goes like this. Tana was taught in a brisa. It's actually here, it's Tosefta. Pesel hayetzim in a sukkah. Pesel is kosher schach. We had the word before. Why is it called pesel? Because it's pselis the gunfa of the yekin. So pesel hayetzim in a sukkah. Kosher schach that's protruding out of the sukkah. Vidin kasukah. It's considered a sukkah. Mar asks, "My pesel yetzim in a sukkah." What is that case? So we're going to have four possibilities, 3 or 4 possibilities. Ula says, "Kanama yetzim la'acheri sukkah." It's the sticks on the back of the sukkah when you put on your schach, so it hangs over the back. So if someone wants, they can go behind the sukkah and they can eat over there in the back of the sukkah. And you're sitting inside. There's a guy sitting outside the sukkah in the back, sitting, on the floor with a bottle. One second, before you get to it. So it says, the Gemara asks, Babin and Shalish Stefanis. But you need walls. You need 3 walls. Here you're just sitting there's just 1 wall. There's no bid'ika. There are 3 walls. How do you have 3 walls? Because the back wall is pushed in a little bit, and the 2 side walls extend a little bit further. So that's going to give you the 3 walls. It says Rabina and Hechsher Sukkah, but it needs to be a kosher sukkah. You need 7 tvachim there. So b'deika, you have 7 tvachim there. Rabina and Salasim Ruv Mechamasa, but you need more shade than sun. So it's b'deika, but you have more shade than sun. The Gemara says, now ihachi ma'ila meinra. Now that you have a kosher sukkah, so what's your chiddush? Sort of obvious, right? Yeah, in general, when you learn. So, first question is, who says? How do you know? Like, maybe it's not so. And then, when you prove it, that it is so, then you say, so what's the chiddush? After you have your answers. That's what we just did. So what's the chiddush? So Mao the Tema Kamash Malan goes like this. That let's say I have the wall, the back wall of my sukkah. What was that wall built for? It was built for the inside. Here we have like a wall that only, we had a svara to say that the wall should only work for one-way wall. Similar to the svaras that we had before by Lavud, possibly Rava said that. So I had a svara to say that the wall should only work one way. So Kamash Malan that we don't say that. They say that a wall is a real wall is a wall. The question is what about halachic walls, Lavud and Ptimen and Pitiki or Dvasaisim, maybe those can only work one way. But if you have a real wall, that's for sure a solid wall for both sides. That was the first pshat in Pesach Yitzim in the Sukkah Ulas pshat. Rabba v'Rabbi Yosef Amri Tavayu. Now we have Rabba and Rabbi Yosef. They both say, this is talking about schach that's sticking out over the front of the sukkah. And there's one wall that's going along with it. So if my sukkah was like this. One wall is much longer than the other one here. One wall is much longer than the other one. So the schach goes all the way out. So really, I could cut it off right there and say, that's my sukkah. Only the back. Only what's inside there. And everything that's this over here is a separate area with only one wall. That's not a sukkah. So we say we don't say that. What we say is that the sukkah continues all the way. The schach goes all the way. The schach goes all the way. The question is, do I say that only that's the sukkah? You've got it all made in there. Okay. Oh, that's a good question. Is there a post at the far corner? I don't know. I don't know if that's necessary. Yeah, I don't know how it's being held up. I don't know. So Mao the Tema Halas by Hechsher Sukkah. You could say, but it's not a kosher sukkah in that area because it's only one wall. Kamash Milan, that no, it is considered a sukkah because I view the back of the sukkah as part of this larger sukkah, and I actually have 3 walls. I have 2.5 walls because I have the tefach. Even if that was just the tefach, it's good. It turns out it's a full sukkah. That should continue till the front. Okay. Rabbi Bar Bachana Rabbi Yechanan. Rabbi Bar Bachana says in the name of Rabbi Yechanan, "Linetz kol sukkah shruba tzilasa meruba mechamasa, umiyut lechamasa meruba mitzilasa." Majority of the sukkah has enough schach. Majority of the sukkah is more shade than sun. However, there is a small area of the sukkah that has more sun than shade. So Mao the Tema, I could have thought tipasel ba'ach porta. That sukkah should be possible because there's an area in the sukkah that's not enough schach. Kamash Malan comes to tell us that it's going to be kosher. So it says, "My yaitze." What does it mean, yaitze? Yaitze was good according to Hula, sticking out the back. According to Rabbi and Rabbi Yosef, it's sticking out the front. According to Rabbi Bar Bachana, what does yaitze mean? So he answers, yaitze mihashir sukkah. It's figuratively, it's leaving the halachic category, the halachic qualifications of a sukkah. Rav Ashi says, "Leinitzcha l'schach pasel pachas mishleisha b'sukkah ktana." Talking about that they have less than 3 tvachim of schach pasel in a small sukkah, which that 3 tvachim would be a real problem. This is less than 3 tvachim. My yaitze, what does it mean? It's yaitze. Yaitze mitera sukkah goes out from the halachas of sukkah that it's not the kosher schach. And nevertheless, we consider it kosher because of love. We consider it solid. Let's say it wasn't there at all. If it wasn't there at all, it would be kosher. What's the chiddush over here? Amalei Rab Abba. Rab Abba says, Zemit staref yeshinim tachtav. Zemit staref ein yeshinim tachtav. You know what? When I have open space less than 3 tvachim in the sukkah, it becomes a solid. It's as if it's filled in. Its love is so strong that it fills it in, and I can even sit under that area. If I have less than 3 tvachim of schach pasel, then it's considered like it's schach kosher, but I'm not allowed to sit under it. You don't sit under that lip. It's schach pasel. If it would have been open space, I would have been allowed to sit there, but not now. The Gemara says, is there such a thing? This is like a philosophical question. Can you get something that could make my sukkah kosher, but it itself isn't kosher? I can't sit under there, but it's making my sukkah kosher because of love. I mean, I'm considering it kosher, but you just can't sit there. Is that possible? I'm not talking about the whole sukkah being kosher. I'm talking about even I need that area for my sukkah to be kosher because it's only 7 tvachim my whole sukkah. And now I have 7 tvachim, but part of it I can't sit under. Is it possible that it could still be kosher? Is there such a thing? So Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Eliashiv. Rav Yitzchak ben Eliashiv says, yes, there is such a thing. It's tit hanara ki yechiach shemitzdaref l'arbaim sa v'ategel by le'yosa le'tvila. A mikveh needs to be a certain size. It needs to be 40 sa of water. Let's say part of the 40 sa was a mud, soft mud, pourable mud. So that's considered liquid. But if I would try to be toivel directly into that, it wouldn't be considered like I was in the mikveh. So it makes my sukkah kosher, but it itself isn't kosher. You see, we have an example of something that can make kosher even though it itself isn't. Okay. Go down the toilet. Each topic is about 2 feet wider than the one above it. Because under the one above it, independently above it, you have a part of it. You have 2 feet beyond that. 2 feet is enough. Is a kosher sukkah. Question is, where's my third wall? Well, I have 4 walls. I have 3 walls anyway. I have the house. And I have 3 walls automatically. Which is why they need to build the whole sukkah if half of it is possible. Reb Naftali is asking about the balconies, like the fire escape type. It's just balconies, but it's not totally outside from the one that's above it. It overlaps. Interesting. I don't know. If you made the sukkah like a thrift, maybe like a teepee. I don't know what a teepee is, but it's a tent where it's like a cone, and basically it doesn't have a separate roof from the walls. The walls and the roof are the same thing. It's just
No sukkah, you can't put a table indoor. It's considered not a sukkah. Like, you can't have the edge of the table outside. Out the table is one part of the sukkah and have the edge of the rest of the table indoors.
And that was a problem according to the Shammai, which said we need to have a table in the sukkah. Here, I have a problem with roof, and it's not interesting.
Windows don't.
Uh-huh. So, you have the schach is leaning against the wall. So, and then you just climb in underneath. Rabbi Lezer plays so they say in Lagag. Rabbi Lezer says you don't have a roof, you just have a wall. You don't have a recognizable roof. And Chacham Machshim, the Chum say that it's kosher. Tana was taught in the Brisa. Maybe Rabbi Lezer would agree. Rabbi Lezer is very strict about this. He would agree. Two options. And I had this thing like this. Let's say it was removed one tefach, this diagonal schach, was removed one tefach away from the actual wall. That would give me what's considered a halachic oihel. It would be considered a tent. One tefach was considered like an oil. So, you have a roof. Once you have a roof, then I can say that the rest of it is counted as well. Same as if it's raised off the ground one tefach. Then that's considered a wall. And then I have the rest would be the roof. So once I can divide it up into roof, wall, so then that would be kosher. My time out there, Rabbanan. What's the reason for the rabbis? Why did the rabbis say that it's kosher? It says, because the rabbis hold, Shipui oyalim kayalim damu. A slanted oil is considered an oil. A tent on a slant is considered a tent. Abaya ashkechei l'Rab Yosef de kagoni bekilas chasanim b'sukkah. It's going to be like reverse logic here. We were talking about making a sukkah kosher without schach that's designated as a roof or a wall. Now, Rabbi Yosef is in a proper sukkah. There's no problem with the sukkah. There's a problem with the bed that he's in the sukkah. The bed that he's in has a roof on it. And he's inside the sukkah, but the roof is slanted. So if he holds that a slanted sukkah is kosher, then his bed would be pasul. If he would pasul because it's considered an oil, and he's in an oil in the sukkah, that's not going to be good. If he holds that a slanted sukkah is pasul, because the slant is nothing, so his bed is also nothing, and he's fine. No, if a slanted sukkah is the slanted sukkah is pasul. Why is it pasul? Because the slanted roof is not considered a tent. So now that he's in a bed that has a slanted roof, he's not in a tent. He's perfectly fine inside of it. If the sukkah is pasul, then the bed is kosher. Not kosher as a sukkah. Kosher for invalidating the sukkah. It's kosher. It doesn't invalidate his laying in the sukkah with the roof over him. So, yeah. It was fine, unless it was over 10 tefachim. So here, the Kagani, Rabbi Yosef is in this bed with the slanted roof. Amalei, come on, who do you hold like? Rabbi Lezer. You hold like Rabbi Lezer that holds that a sukkah made in such a way would be pasul. Shavkas Rabbanan Rabdas Rabbi Lezer. You forsake the rabbis and you follow Rabbi Lezer. It's shocking. Rabbi Lezer was a shamuti. You never paskin like Rebbe Lezer. He was like from Shammai's followers. You don't paskin like Rebbe Lezer, just like that. We had in the beginning of Nida. Allah is like Rebbe Lezer only in 4 cases. Amalei Brisa Ibchatani. He says the Brisa has the same Mishnah, the same rulings of the Mishnah, but it reversed the names, which says that the Chachamim say that it's not good. And Rebbe Lezer says that it is good. So the fact that I'm in this bed that has honest land, I'm following the opinion of the Chachamim that say such a sukkah would be invalid. And therefore, the bed is going to be fine. So, Ibchatani, because it says, Rebbe Lezer Machshav V'cham Paislan. So Abai asks Rabbi Yosef, Shavkas Masnisin Vavdas Kebraisa? You're leaving our Mishnah and you're following a Brisa? The Mishnah was edited by Rebbe. The Brisa wasn't edited by Rebbe. And you're saying that the Brisa is more significant than what Rebbe edited? Amalei Masnisin Yechidai. Our Mishnah is the opinion of one individual. It goes like this. The Tanya was taught in the Brisa. In the Brisa. If someone makes a sukkah like a teepee, or he leans it against the wall, Reb Nassan, Rebbe Lezer Paisel, they shein lagag. Reb Nassan says that there's a machlekes, Rebbe Lezer and the Chachamim. And Rebbe Lezer says that it's possible. And the Chacham say that it's kosher. Now, if you look at our Mishnah, that's exactly what our Mishnah says. But now I know that our Mishnah is only the opinion of Reb Nassan. The Brisa is the opinion, is everyone else's opinion that says that the names are exactly the opposite. But Rebbe Lezer says that it's kosher, and the Chacham say that it's possible. And because of that, that's why Rebbe Yosef was inside the bed, inside the sukkah. The bed had a slant, so it wasn't considered an aisle. So let's leave it over here.